Are you busy with work that matters? Or is your busy work running your life and distracting you from the things that really do matter most? By the end of our time together today, I think you'll discover the often missing keys that allow us to turn our attention away from that busy work and toward those things we hold most dear in both our personal and our professional lives. Today, we are honored to have Aytekin Tank, CEO of Jotform and the author of the best-selling book, Automate Your Busywork. We are talking all the time about the value of using autopilot to our advantage with our habits. And today, we'll have the opportunity to dig into how that strategy can free us up to focus on what matters most. Thanks for joining us here on the Catalyst 360 podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brad Cooper, CEO of Catalyst Coaching 360, endurance athlete, grandpa, and mover of rocks. Many of you probably know me as Susanna's husband. But either way, I'm grateful to have you invest a portion of your week with us. For employers, EAPs, and even wellness service providers looking for valuable solutions to support employee team members, we recently announced the trademark 360 Wellbeing Checkup. 2/3 of employees regularly see their dentist, but very few do the same for their physical and mental health. The 360 Wellbeing Checkup changes that, and there's no flossing involved. How do you like that? Details at catalystcoaching360.com or reach out anytime to discuss your specific needs and goals for the organization. Results at catalystcoaching360.com. And if you're an individual considering pursuing certification as a health and wellness coach, our next MBHWC approved training officially kicks off in January, but you can get an early start now if you'd like. All the details are on our Institute site, catalystcoachinginstitute.com, or touch base with any questions via that same email as earlier, results at catalystcoaching360.com anytime. And now, it's time to automate the busy work with Aytekin Tank on the latest episode of the Catalyst 360 podcast. Aytekin Tank, what a pleasure to have you join us here on the Catalyst 360 podcast. Thanks for making the time. It's great to have you.
It's great to be on your show, Brett.
You know, maybe we should start with this question. How do you define busy work? We all have this context of, oh, yeah, I hate busy work. But if you ask us what exactly is that, we might stumble a little bit. How would you define busy work?
Busy work is the work that really you shouldn't be doing. We all think that the productivity is the problem. Like we think that, hey, if I can get a little bit more productive, I'm going to be, successful.
Right.
But the thing is, there's no end to this, like this busy work. Like there is just so much work that keeps adding up. The problem is the priority. And there is a great Eisenhower quote that I love. He says that I have two kinds of problems, the urgent and the important. The urgent are not important and the important are never urgent. So Eisenhower said this, and David Allen, when he wrote the 7 Habits book, Stephen Covey.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Covey, when he wrote the 7 Habits book, he actually turned this into a framework that he calls the Eisenhower matrix. So Eisenhower matrix is like 2x2 matrix. So you have the importance and you have the urgency in different dimensions. And so there are 4 quadrants, urgent and important. And there are not many urgent and important things happening in our lives. Like if a loved one has a health problem, like we will drop everything and we will look into that, right? So if something is both urgent and important, if they are really urgent and if they are really important, we'll take care of that. Yeah. So the first quadrant is actually not that big deal. And the fourth quadrant is also not that big deal. If something is not urgent, if something is also not important, we should just get rid of it. We should delegate it. We should, automate it. We should maybe just not do it. Like it's not important. It's, we should find a way to get rid of it. So the problem is with the second and the third quadrants. What happens is that our life is spent in the second quadrant. We always have these things that seem like they're urgent, that require our constant attention. They're not urgent. They're not really urgent, but they require our attention. So we constantly receive emails. We constantly receive notifications. Like our phone is ringing. We are receiving these messages, like social media. We have to, look at these, what's happening on social media, or we'll miss it. We have this FOMO, fear of missing out, about like things happening. Like we have to watch the news because, all these things are happening.
Yeah.
And if we don't watch it, we are not going to be aware of it.
Right.
I don't watch the news, for example. And, if something important happens, somebody will actually tell me. I don't actually have to watch the news. So the second quadrant is taking all of our time, and we are trying to become more and more productive. We are trying to become more productive so we can accomplish more in the second quadrant. Things that are not really, really important, but they feel like, we have to take care of them right now.
Let me jump in just for a second, because I think when you and we can see each other, folks that are listening are just hearing the audio. And so as we start talking matrices, they may be going, whoa, I'm losing them here. Folks, I cannot stress the importance of this matrix enough. Stephen Covey wrote about it, as he said, the Eisenhower matrix in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It may be the single most valuable item from one of the most popular books of all time. And what he's describing here, just to summarize what you were talking about, you have the urgent and important, but you don't have it very often. So let's stop putting things into that category that aren't really in that category. And then we have the urgent, but not really important. And that's kind of what he's talking about with social media, the news, the echo chamber of Twitter, all these things. You have the not urgent, not important. That's when you're sitting on the couch at night watching Netflix. It really doesn't matter. You're just so exhausted from spending all day in the urgent categories that the only thing you have energy left for is the stuff that's not urgent and not important. And where you're talking about, where the big value, where the big payoff is the things that are not urgent, but they're critically important. And folks, if we can get our arms around that element, that is a life changer. And that's where we want to focus the discussion today. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. I interrupted you because I just want to make sure we are emphasizing that. Continue with where you were with that.
Thank you for explaining it really well. So the third quadrant, so what happens is that because all these things that require attention are just taking our time,
yes,
we never had time for those important things that really, that are not being reminded to us by others, right? So, for example, we need to exercise, right? We need to, go to the gym. Mm-hmm. So if no one is telling us about that, and if we are always saying, okay, I will go later, I will go tomorrow, and later becomes never. Right. And it's easy to like stop doing those things that are really important for us, but they're not urgent because you're not required to do them, and nobody is telling you to do them. And because of that, you're just leaving them all the time. And so, in the book, I have these 2 questions. I ask people to ask themselves these 2 questions. What should I spend my time on, and what shouldn't I spend my time on? And the second question is more important, because the time that the things that take your time away, that are not important, are not just taking your time. They are taking your opportunities. They are taking your energy, because, you spend your energy doing them, and then you don't have any energy left to do the important things. Yeah. So I advise people to automate those things, automate things that are not really important, but they require your attention, so that, they can be done. You can delegate them to the machine. A machine can do them, so that you can actually take the time to work on the important things. And I also talk about something that I call the hunter strategy. And the hunters, like in the very old times, caveman times. So if someone, when you wake up, you had one thing in your mind, right? You are hungry. You need to feed yourself, otherwise, you'll die. So you go after food, and you hunt. You collect food. You find food, right? So I think this is the same approach I apply every day, every morning when I wake up. and I was actually listening to one of your previous podcasts, essentialism.com, and he was actually suggesting the same thing. Like he was saying, like every day, ask yourself, what's the most important thing I can do today? So I never heard before. I didn't actually know
you and Greg
that,
McEwen have a lot of overlap. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I appreciate you saying that. Okay, so let's come back to those questions. So what should I spend my time on? What should I not be spending my time on? And then you said by doing by taking care of the things that I don't need to be spending 6 hours a day on, that then allows us to focus on what's really important. Is part of the problem, and I have no idea, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, but is part of the problem is we don't know what's really important? Like, is that the issue? We're equally weighting Twitter or Facebook or Instagram with that key project or that valuable discussion with our spouse or our best friend. Is that the problem? I mean, is that point A, is determine what really matters?
Every morning when I wake up, I go to gym, I send kids to the school and all those things. But, when I'm ready to work, I go in front of my computer and I don't look at the news. I don't look at the emails. I don't look at notifications. I don't check my phone. I don't check social media. I don't do any of those things, right? I don't do them, until noon. So every morning I go in front of my computer and I launch this app. It's basically a text editor. Like you can use any text editor, but I use this Mac app called IA Writer. So, and
IA Writer?
Yes. It's a complete black screen.
Okay.
And like my screen is full black, and there's a single cursor blinking. And what I do is I basically kind of like journals, or like they also call this like the morning pages. So basically I will just write down what's on my mind, and I do exactly the same thing the essentialism book advises. And I think about what's the most important thing for me to work on today. So I ask myself, like, what should I work on today? And most of the time it's about business. Like, so I have a, successful business. So, I work on a strategy, I'm writing a book. So I work on a chapter, but sometimes it's personal. How can I solve this personal problem? I also think about that, because when you solve those problems, you are going to be much more successful in your business. So you shouldn't just think about business. You should also make sure that you take care of your personal life as well. And so I write down like most important things. Some days I don't feel like, I have no idea, like, what should I work on today? Like, I have no idea.
So you don't have a list of things waiting for you. You go in kind of this blank screen.
I don't even feel like thinking about it. But as I start writing down, like as I come to the second paragraph or the third paragraph, suddenly it just starts flowing. Suddenly I start like, hey, I need to take care of this. I need to work on this problem. And then suddenly my writing is just like about a single thing. Like I cannot stop thinking about that thing, and I cannot write. I don't write about anything else. Like my mind is like starting to focus. And that's when I know that that's actually what I need to work on. And, sometimes I know that what I need to work on, if it's like, if I'm working on a chapter in the book, I will just write it down. But sometimes it's something that I don't even know what I don't know. So in those cases, I need to educate myself, right? I read a book. I might watch a YouTube video about that topic. I might listen to a podcast or something, like read about the blog post. But basically, I research about that topic, and that's how I learn about that topic, so that I can find a solution to that important problem. So
let's pause there for a second, because you've really got my attention here. This is too much information here. I'm going to make a confession. I almost do the opposite, and I love what you're saying. I'll come in and I'll clear out my email, get rid of my junk box, read the couple of newsletters that I read on a regular basis. Not news-ish, but more like informational science research, that kind of stuff. It's like I'm clearing my plate, and then I sit down to my to-do list and my schedule. And you're saying you do the opposite. Like you come in and you say, before the newsletters, before the schedule, before the emails, before any of the junk box stuff, you sit down with the journal, in whatever journal system you use, and you just start writing about what's coming to the forefront. And that focuses you into one area. And then that becomes your launching point into what you do that day. Did I hear that right? That is really interesting.
And because for me, the morning is like the most productive time of the day.
Yes, exactly.
And it's different for everyone.
Well, I'm with you though, brother. That's exactly. Yeah. And then I get the afternoon, I'm all tired. And I'm like, well, I don't know. What did I say? So you're saving those things for when you kind of hit that lull.
Yeah. Like when I'm most tired, like I cannot even do anything. Yeah. I can just process my emails. You know, that's a good time to do that. Because most of the emails are not important anyways. Like, and if there's a very important email, right? Usually you don't have to respond to it right now. Sure. Like you can actually leave it to tomorrow morning where you're going to have the most important, maybe that's going to be the most important thing for you for the tomorrow.
Wow.
But, you know, I actually use the snooze feature in Gmail a lot. So if I, you know, and I try to do inbox 0 in my emails. And when something is, you know, I read an email, you know, I decide, okay, I cannot respond to this. You know, I have to think about it. I will just snooze it to tomorrow. And then during this time, I will actually think about it back on my mind. Or sometimes, you know, I will just think about it. I will, you know, time box some time for it and work on it. And then I will get back to that person the next day or the next week, if it's not really urgent. But most of the emails are not like that. Most of the emails are like, you know, you read them, you make a quick reply, you set up a calendar invite or something like that. And then you're just processing them. It's just like busy work. It's like, you know, paperwork. But your morning time is, for me, the morning time is special. You know, I go to gym, I take shower, I have my coffee. So, you know, those things, like when I have done those things, like I have my sip of coffee, like my mind is fresh. Mm-hmm. If I had a really good sleep, my mind is fresh and I'm ready to really, you know, tackle something important. And I don't want to waste that time. Like those 2 hours are the most productive hours of my brain, myself. So I want to use them properly. And I think if you use them properly in the long term, it's like a compound return, right? It's like when you keep saving, financially, when you keep saving, maybe you are saving a little bit every day, every week, every month. But in the long term, you get these compound returns. And you know, human brain doesn't really get the compound return because, you know, we can only understand like, you know, additions, subtractions, really multiplications, but compound return, we don't actually get it. But that's why like these, you know, recently all these habits books are really successful because they're really building these compound returns. And automation is like that too, right? A day of automations can save you a year of work. And yeah, it's just easy to, okay, I'm used to doing this manually, right? It's easy to say that. But if you take the time, if you research available products, most of the time, the products you already use have like so many features, like they have automation features. You're not even aware of them. Like you're not using them. If you take the time, if you learn the products you use, if you learn about all the available products, if you take the time to really think about all the workflows you have, because most of the time it's harder to automate something because it's not just like one item. It's actually, you know, you send an email to someone, you are waiting for a reply from someone, like you have all these things. So you have workflows. So in the book, I talk about this automation flywheel framework, where I really talk about how to understand the frameworks and how to automate these frameworks. But basically the idea is that you wanna take the time and automate things so that you can get returns in the long term. You can get those compound interests.
Wow. We could hit stop on this right now, and I would walk away. This is potentially life-changing. Like, thank you. I love this. I love it. I can see why your book was so popular. So let's shift to the person who's listening, because I think your and my lives are somewhat similar. But let's shift to the person who's listening to this, and they are nodding their head and rolling their eyes and going, yeah, if you run your own business, sure, sit down and journal at the beginning of the day and do what need. Dude, that doesn't work for me. I got to respond to emails starting at 6 a.m. and rock and roll with that. And like, what would you say to that person? Is that simply a lack of trying it or exploring an opportunity and realizing that of those 50 emails waiting for them in the morning, 47 of them are urgent but not important? I talk to that listener who's saying, yeah, but I go into my office and I got to jump into XYZ, and talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah. So now I am like a business leader, but in the beginning, for many, many years, I was like the only person. Right. I was the startup founder. And then I had a small team, and slowly my team has grown. So, I was also previously was an employee for 5 years after college.
Yes, you get it.
And so, I mean, I think that's a big assumption that we are assuming that, our managers, if you're working for, when we work for someone, that we need to be like instantly available for all the time. Like we need to reply to the emails very quickly. I would prefer someone to take the time and, provide a better answer than try to answer very quickly to those emails. I think those are assumptions. And if you want to advance in your career, I think the automation can really help you. And the great thing about this is, like, if you start using these automations, the time you save are going to actually give you more time. Right. To be able to, do more things. Right. And as you accomplish more, like, you're going to get the recognition for your accomplishments, and that's going to help you advance in your career. So I think it's still important for an individual contributor to use these automation tools. And this is a great time. This is a great time for anyone to automate things, because we are living in an age that you can actually find a product that can help you with automation. And, there are like thousands of products that are available that can help you with automations. And the products you use also have like so many automation features. There are like these three revolutions going on right now. So the first one is the software is eating the world. And this was said by Mark Andreessen more than a decade ago. And everything is becoming software. Like the cars are becoming software. Yeah. The travel agents, in the past we would have travel agents. We do everything ourselves. So we have so much more freedom. Because software allows us to have like so many options, and software democratizes all these things for everybody. So it's like, everybody has the access to these tools. The second one is the no-code revolution. And the what? No-code is a term.
What was that one?
No-code. So basically, there are these products Jotform is like a no-code product where you can actually go by yourself, create a form all by yourself, like drag and drop. You don't need to know any technology. You can just drag and drop fields into your form and create an online form. And you can start using that online form with your customers, clients, the other people in your organization, and, your colleagues. So there are these no-code products. And if you think about it, even on Gmail, there are like so many no-code features. Like you can use these filters, labels, all these automation features like the snooze button, that you can actually, build these things yourself, build solutions for yourself, for your business or for your work. And the third one is the big one, the AI revolution. And this is coming hot. And, this is already happening, and it's really everyone is talking about the AI revolution. And you go to ChatGPT, and then you ask it to write something, and it can give you a grade. If you can write an article for you if you need to. I actually use ChatGPT a lot to find ideas. So, for example, I have a question, right? In the past, I would go and Google that question.
Right.
So now I just go to ChatGPT and I ask that question, and it gives you a good answer.
Yeah.
It gives you more options. And the great thing is, like, I can keep asking more questions about that same thing, and then it can give me more details. Of course, you have to fact check it, because these products are not really that trustable. They are just they're just kind of making things up. But still, it's, in the past, like, you have to do so much research, and today you can find answer much more easily. So because of these three revolutions, and there are websites like g2.com where you can find all these, like, thousands of products that can help you with automation.
G2, like go to?
G2.com, yeah. And so whatever you need to do, like, so you have this podcast, right? Maybe you are doing all this manual work with the podcast, like posting it on multiple sites, you're processing it. I'm sure, like, there are many products that can help you with doing all those things. And that time you save with, post-production, or, submitting your files to these websites, the time you save from them, you can actually produce more podcasts, right? And all these tools are actually also, available, like, much more cheaper. They're not very expensive. In the past, if you needed to automate your business, you would go to, like, a company like SAP or Oracle, and then you would spend, like, millions of dollars. Only big companies could do that. And then you could automate your business. But today, like, many businesses, they just go to, like, g2.com, they find a solution, and then they apply in their business, and then they get the same benefits as those big companies. And all these products also connect with each other. Like, there are products like Zapier and, like, Make that can actually connect all these products to each other. You can connect it to Gmail so that it can send you an email, things like that. So this is a great age for automations, and I talk more about the details in the book, Automate Your Busywork. But I think the first idea is to prioritize, understand, like, what you shouldn't spend your time on, and then you take the time and find solutions for automations. You take the time, you make time to save time, basically. You find automation solutions, you apply them, and sometimes, like, the first product you find doesn't work, but you try a second product, third product. When I was actually solving my email problem, the first product, like, I tried, like, 10 different email products. I was using Gmail, and I tried, like, 10 different products, and I wasn't happy with them. And then once I figured out, like, here's how the solution should work, then I actually went back to Gmail and I looked at it, and it has, like, so many powerful, like, filtering and labeling features that I actually built the solution on Gmail. And it works, and it saves me so much time. And definitely, it's about having the mindset so that you can take the time to automate things. You take the time to automate things. Yeah.
So I want to bring folks back to the matrix for a moment, and then I'm going to ask you, because so many folks are on Outlook, I'm going to ask you my next question so you can be thinking about it while I'm doing this review for folks. Are there a couple of tools that people are usually missing that, wow, if you would just do this? So I'll ask you that in a second. But just for everybody's review, one of the things I want to re-emphasize with this Eisenhower matrix from Stephen Covey is that when you analyze your schedule, when you look at your day, when you consider what you're doing that is urgent but not important, and we did the list of news, social media, et cetera, and the not urgent, not important, which we're doing because we're simply just so tired and worn out from doing everything that's urgent all day long. If we eliminate those, guess what happens? Or not even eliminate. That's not the right word. The couch is fine. Enjoy the time on the couch. Enjoy that space. But if that's a lot of time, there's something else going on. But what happens is when you decrease, not eliminate, decrease the urgent, not important, and not urgent, not important, guess what? You suddenly have an extra hour, 2 hours, 3 hours more a day. He talked about going from 6 hours of emails to 2. So suddenly that's 4 hours that he can then spend on, there's probably not much that's urgent and important, but the not urgent and important. And that's our lives. Like that's where we want to be living. So anyway, I just want to review that again because I think that's the key. It's not that you have to find 27 hours a day. It's that by reviewing and understanding what is urgent but not important, not urgent, not important, then we stop doing it or we automate that, as you've been talking about, then suddenly we have more time. So with that little review over, are there a couple tools where you'd say, oh, Brad, folks are missing this one?
I can talk about the solution I found for my email problem in Gmail.
Oh, that'd be great.
And that can actually be, I think that can be implemented in Outlook as well. So, Outlook has the filters and labels, I believe.
Yeah.
So it should be possible to implement it as well.
Okay.
So what I did, the main problem was this. The email products are always listing the emails by date and time order, right? And that's not really productive because a spam message is like right next to a very important email from a customer, for example. So you got all this mix of, and you receive hundreds of emails. So what's happening is that you are trying to deal with this mess. And I try to do inbox zero. Inbox zero is useful. But the problem is you constantly need to clean up your inboxes as well. And when you receive so many emails, that's also not working because now you're spending so much time with cleaning your inboxes. That's also taking so much time. So it's better than not having an inbox zero approach, but still it didn't solve the problem for me. So in an ideal world, what I needed was instead of listing emails by date and time, I wish an email product would list emails by priority, like the top priority email, the most important email. The one you receive from my wife is probably the top priority, right? It's at the top, and the spam message is at the bottom, and you have all these different levels of priority emails in the middle. But if I had this, it's very easy. I just start from the top. And then I process the most important email. I go to the next one. As I approach to the bottom, I know that the rest is not that important. I can just stop there. So every time I open it, I can just look at the most important email and then I process them. If there was a way to do this, this would be the ideal solution. But I couldn't find this. But instead, what I found was I decided that I can use Gmail's filtering features to actually prioritize emails. So I created these levels, level 1, level 2, so L1, L2, L3. And I decided that the most important emails actually go to level 1. So, an email from my wife, for example, an email from a, very important customer or our VP of HR. So all those really important emails or if it's coming from Wiley.com, which is my publisher is Wiley for the book. So if an email comes from Wiley, I want to, see it very quickly, make sure that I get back to them quickly. So I create all these filters on Gmail. And so basically you can use the search bar to search for something, and then you can create a filter from that on Gmail. And I created these filters so that if an email comes directly from our head of HR to me, then it goes to my L1 inbox because it's probably something important. And I did this, and L2 is more like a direct email from everyone else. L3 is more like a mass email, like the newsletters I follow or the email threads I'm part of. So it goes by the priority of the emails. And by setting all these filters, now let's say I have like 10 minutes between meetings, I can just go to my L1 inbox and I can see, oh, okay, I have these, 3 important emails, and I can quickly answer them, process them, and then, I don't have to worry about it. Even on vacation, I know that we shouldn't be looking at emails on vacation, but as a CEO,
Guilty.
I still need to check,
Right.
make sure that
Sure.
everything is all right.
Right.
Before everyone else wakes up, I wake up and then I quickly look at my L1 and then process it. And then my mind is like, I don't have to worry about it. I think that's also important. Like when you know that something important might be waiting there and you are not aware of it, your mind is like busy. It feels, you don't feel well. You feel stressed.
Right.
And once I look at that, okay, there's nothing important. I can enjoy my vacation at that time because I don't have to worry about something bad happening. So and this automation didn't require any I don't pay for it. It's already included in Gmail.
Right.
All I had to, I even knew the features. Like I didn't even have to learn new features. All I had to think about was what kind of solution do I need? So it's about taking time. It's about making time to save time. If you take the time, if you think about all the things you are doing that you shouldn't be spending your time on, and if you can try to find solutions, if you can, even if you can reduce the time you spend on them, like instead of 2 hours, if you can just spend 1 hour, that you just saved 1 hour.
Right.
And if you are doing that every week, then in a year, right, you saved 50 hours.
Right.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Well, and I think our default is I don't have time to set these up, but as you mentioned, a 5-minute investment, a 1 hour investment, that interest, you're not just getting that hour back, you're getting that hour back times 340 days, 320 days, however many days you work a year. So even if you could just save yourself 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day by just having those top priority filters set, even if you don't have it all set up like he's talking about, that's huge. And they're simple enough, and I'm making notes here because I need to go do this. They're simple enough that it's not going to take me 6 hours to set this up. This is a 30-minute process max, it sounds like. So your book touches on the idea of reclaiming time for more meaningful pursuits. What are some of the surprising or unexpected benefits that readers will unlock by automating? So we've talked about you simply have more time. You'll be more focused. You won't be, if you're on vacation and you've got to check email, you'll be able to check just 3 emails instead of 27 emails. So we've talked about those, but are there some things that people may not tune into? They might be surprised by the benefits of automating these things?
So our goal is not just to save time. If you remember my history, how I wasn't being able to spend my time on my product, and because of the busy work, I didn't have time to work on my product,
right.
And that really bothered me. And I think it's about taking those times that you save and applying them to things that you care about. And so what happens is that when you don't work as much, when you work less, when your mind is not that busy, when you're not that tired, your creativity increases. You're more creative.
Yeah.
You come up with more ideas. You're more excited about your work, and that results in higher quality of output from whatever you are doing. So it's not just about saving time. It's more about becoming more successful in the things that you really care about.
I mean, that's really the compounded concept that you talked about. When folks that are 23 years old save $1,000 in a Roth IRA or something, they wake up at 62 and say, whoa, this is $800,000. How did that happen? Because it's not just compounding that day. It's not just getting interest that year. It's, and you're saying the same thing is happening here. You decrease your busy work And as a result, you have more space, you have more flexibility, you have more time to ponder, think, reflect, dive more deeply into the projects you're working on. So your work is better. So then you're compounding that. So then you get a promotion. So now, that's where that compounding piece is so critical. All right. So Automate Your Busywork. It provides really practical advice for streamlining daily tasks, but we all have unique work, et cetera, things. How can readers tailor the general strategies that you provide to their specific lives? We've talked a lot about email. Are there other ways that they can take your advice and make it specific to whatever situation they're in right now?
So, so I talk about the automation flywheel framework, and there are three parts in this flywheel. The first one is divide and conquer. The second one is design and implement, and the third one is refine and iterate. So basically, in the first step, you divide and conquer your existing work. So you understand what you are doing, how you are spending your time on, what kind of tasks you are doing, and what kind of workflows you have. So you figure out like how you spend your time on.
Okay.
And
so it's kind of your assessment. That's kind of your baseline of here's where I am today.
And you can even create charts. You can create like workflow charts, understand how you're spending your time on. You can do a time audit where like for a week, you have a spreadsheet where you write down how you spend each hour, and at the end of the week you total them up, and then you see how you're spending your time up. Okay. So you first need to understand where you're spending your time on, and then you ask yourself two questions: what should I spend my time on, and what shouldn't I spend my time on? And the things that you should be spending your time on are the things that should be automated first. So first you figure out what you should be automating. In the second step, design and implement step, is exactly what you asked, right? How can we, once I know that, okay, I should be automating this. These things are really important. I have to be creative. I enjoy doing them, so I don't want to automate them. But these things, I shouldn't be spending my time on. They're taking away my time. They're taking away my energy. I should be automating them, right? Once you create that list of things that you should be automating, now you're actually starting to design your automations. So how do you do that? That's actually why we are living in such a great times, because there are just so many tools to accomplish the automations. Whatever you need to do, there's actually a tool for it. And that's why I'm recommending G2.com, or, you can just use Google to Google it.
Sure.
And what I recommend is that you don't just try the products right away. What you can do is every product on G2.com actually has hundreds of reviews. And what I really like about reading those reviews are not about if the product is good or not. I'm not really reading them for that. I'm actually reading them so that I understand how people are using those products.
Yeah.
For example, let's say you need to do post-production for your podcast recording, right? So, you find all these, podcast related products, and then you're reading up on those, how people are using it. So you go to YouTube, you watch people, how they use those products. And then that's how actually you figure out how you can automate those things, because it's just, and it's always changing. I actually have so many recommendations in the book, but I know that in 10 years, none of the examples or recommendations I have in the book are going to be useful, because the times are so much changing, and the automations are so much changing that I think it's just finding out how people are doing now is more important than just having a static list of things that people do. And so once you understand how they use it, you apply them, and you shouldn't be trying to automate everything at once. So what I recommend is that you first understand your system, you figure out how your system works, and then you take out part of it and you automate it. And then your system should still continue to work. Your workflow still should function like before. And you should also be, tracking your automation, like how they are performing, like, they can send you emails about what happens, or, you can look at the numbers. But basically, you slowly add these automations to your systems. So basically what you're doing is you're building your systems.
Right.
And so basically, like before, when you were doing things manually, you are like this individual contributor. Now, actually, as you keep adding these automations, as you keep building these systems, you're actually the systems designer. You are actually the manager of the system.
Right.
So instead of doing those things, you're actually managing the automations. It's like you're like a manager in a business. It's like so now you have promoted. You promoted yourself as a manager. Yeah.
No, that's so perfect. We had Tom Peters on, and I'm sure you've read many of Tom's books over the years. He was the guy that wrote In Search of Excellence, the first huge best-selling business book. But he always liked to talk about, you are the CEO of You Incorporated. Mm-hmm. And you're saying the exact same thing in a practical way. Not only are we going to call you the CEO of You Incorporated, but as CEO, you can now employ these tools, these things that you've talked about from G2.com. And now it's almost like you're managing employees. And just as when you bring on employees, they get more done, or you wouldn't hire them than you would do by yourself. Same thing with these tools. So I love that analogy. This is so good. I have just one more question for you, but I just wanted to thank you because I came into this excited because this is such a big deal for all of us, definitely myself included. But my page, I've just got notes all over the place here. Mm-hmm. The last one, just turn the mirror around. If you could automate one aspect of your personal life that isn't covered in your book and you're not currently doing, what would it be? And why is that an important one that you're maybe thinking about automating or thinking about working on?
So because I care so much about automation, things that I can automate, I actually automate it. So there are things that I don't actually like, and if they can go away, I would love them to go away. Like one thing that I don't like is like driving. You know, many people actually enjoy driving. I don't enjoy driving, and if it can go away. And the companies are actually working on that. They are working on these, self-driving cars, and it's becoming a reality. So it's, everything we can think of, they're going to become reality. And because, everything is turning into automation. Right. And people are kind of like, they're resistant to automations. They're afraid. Sure. But we saw during the pandemic, people are also, when they have to, they are ready. They can go, from 0 to 100 very quickly. And before the pandemic, people were used to signing documents, faxing to each other or emailing to each other, scanning them. And then everybody switched to these, documents, e-signatures. So it's just, people are adopting these, automations, changes, and we are better for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. Thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your work. Great job on the book.
Thank you, Brett.
I don't know about you, but this was such good timing for me. I hope you discovered the same. Quick reminder for employers, benefit consultants, and complementary wellness providers. It's now easy to integrate personalized, board-certified behavioral, physical, and mental well-being coaching into any program or platform, or maybe offered as a standalone benefit, especially through our new trademark 360 Wellbeing Checkup. Please reach out anytime to discuss details. Results at catalystcoaching360.com or visit the website catalystcoaching360.com anytime. And now it's time to be a catalyst. This is Catalyst Coaching 360, Dr. Brad Cooper. Make it a great rest of your week, and I'll speak with you soon on the next episode of the Catalyst 360 podcast, or maybe over on the YouTube coaching channel.